before a person starts a business, they must do their homework. You must do your homework seriously. Seriously. If you seriously want to get involved in business, because there's a lot of benefits. Give you so much freedom to own your own business. You are not tied down. And that freedom gives you energy. That energy gives you determination, gives you anything to do. So the first thing you have to do, you have to look at the pros and the cons of the situation of opening a business. Now, make sure you have the passion, first of all, energy, determination, enthusiasm to make it work. Because you will have some ups and downs in a business like this. You have to have your head right. You have to have the passion and determination to move on, to make it happen. Okay? You can make your own path, because based on that, that's how you make your own path. Because that's your determination. Okay? In life, we encounter challenges and opportunities, and we can overcome those challenges if you love what you're doing. And you have to love that, and you have to love your life. You can't just love business. You have to love also your life, to be happy, to live, to be able to have that energy for the business. Now, you can make your own destiny based on these things that I just told you. You need that passion, you need that determination. And don't wait for anyone to do it for you. You have to do that. Anything is possible. There are no limits.
Welcome to Wellness Spring, our one-stop shop for education, inspiration, motivation, and optimal wellness. Learn from top experts and exceptional people. Welcome to Wellness Spring. Today, our special guest is an amazing soul. His name is Nick Haritatos, and he has led an incredible journey. He is an extremely successful entrepreneur, soccer player, former military commander, pilot, and a best-selling author of No Limits. The foreword of his book was written by Jack Canfield, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul series, and known as America's #1 success coach. He is such a remarkable soul, and I can't wait for you all to hear his story. And I'm very grateful to a communal friend, Mirav Tarkka, who is a multiple best-selling author and writing coach, for introducing us. So welcome, Nick, to Wellness Spring. It's so lovely to have you on the show.
It is nice to be here. Hello, everyone, all the listeners, and thank you for having me.
Pleasure. Before we delve into your book, because it is definitely a page turner and I can highly recommend it. Your life has just been, full of obstacles, full of challenges, and, that intrigue and mystery, which we'll go a little bit in depth, but we want the audience as well to read it. So could you tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, your parents, siblings, education, and then we'll, see where that takes us.
Well, I was born after the Second World War in Patras, Greece. My dad fought in the Second World War, the Italian army in the northwest of Greece. And his life story actually encouraged me to do a lot of things in life. And he would have been actually hanged by the Nazis because they got him taking certain dough because he was a baker, master baker, and the bakery that he was working was commandeered by the German army in the city of Patras, on the west side of Greece. And he was helping his neighbors while they were starving with dirty dough that was marked in the machines of the bakery. But because he had built a good relationship with a German colonel who used to take care of the food supplies in the city of Patras, and because he made such a good bread for the German army, when they caught him after 2 years of giving dough of bread to the neighbors stealthily, they were going to hang him. And because he had produced good bread for the German army, and because the German colonel that used to come and inspect the bakery got special bread that he used to make for him, especially to give him the time that he used to come and visit. They made a relationship with him. He created certain connections with him in terms of like each other. They worked very well. Although he was very unhappy because he fought the Italians first and he fought the Germans after, because the Italians could not penetrate the Greek defenses for about 6 months. So the German mechanized divisions came into Greece. And he had to come back to the bakery because then the Germans took over. And that actually inspired me because he did some impossible things. And if he was hanged at that time, I wouldn't be here today. So I grew up in the bakery. When I was young, I used to go and visit him in the bakery in Patras. And somehow I was connected to business when I was at a young age. So I went to school in Patras, but I finished my education in Rhodesia, where we moved in. I'll tell you the story later when you ask me the different questions about Rhodesia, etc. And I left Greece. My dad took the whole family to Southern Africa when I was 12 years old. But then I graduated from high school and I went straight into business.
Wow. What a story. Oh my goodness. I feel for your father, and thankfully he was alive to, have you children. So what about your brothers and sisters? Because I know you have some.
I got a brother and 2 sisters. And I was the last in the family. So I was a little bit spoiled, so to speak. And not that I could get what I wanted. No, that wasn't the case. My father was a straightforward man. My mother was a very loving person, religious, good cook, and a very clean person. Always dress up smartly. And she was also strict.
Yeah.
We were naughty when we were young. We were a little bit naughty, doing all sorts of things, especially playing soccer. But my dad plays soccer, professional soccer, and he used to take us to Olympia, which is the where the first stadium of the ancient Olympic Games took place 2,500 years ago.
Wow, so that must have been awesome.
Yes, he used to take us there to run and teach us how to really get on and do things, feel athletic, think about being strong, healthy, and all that type of stuff. So he gave us some sort of a guide in terms of life. And my brother was a businessman. He's in the book. He had a lot of businesses. And we crisscrossed the business together. Sometimes we had a bit of an argument because there were certain things that I didn't agree with him. And but at the end of the day, I won because I knew I was right. He was wrong. He apologized for that. And my two sisters kept in touch, especially my one, who was actually very close to me all the way, and I still talk to her today. I speak to her all the time today. She still lives in that part of the world, and I keep on calling her and talk to her. We're very good friends.
Fabulous. And why did your father move to Rhodesia and take all the family there?
My dad left, and what happened is, after the Germans were defeated, 1945, and they left, there was a civil war in Greece between the conservatives and the communists, so to speak. One supported by the Western world, and the other one was supported by Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc. And it went for about 5 years. It was very, very bad because they just came out from a war, 2 wars, one with Italy, one with Germans. And then there was a civil war for almost 4.5 years. And he lost his siblings, and he wasn't feeling very happy. He was very sad. He couldn't find them. He didn't knew that they passed away. And it was difficult for him to actually remain there. And he decided to take the family and immigrate to Southern Africa, to a country called Rhodesia. It was a British colony, British colony, speaking English, driving on the wrong side of the road, and that type of stuff.
Yeah, I know what that's like, having moved to different countries, like from Wales and then living in Europe, driving on the different sides, and America and so forth. And yeah, and to reinvent yourself as a young child as well. It's quite difficult going to a school where they're speaking a foreign language, so that would have been difficult. And yes. I believe, because throughout the book you talk about soccer and what a big role, and obviously your dad was a big influence there, that the soccer helped you in a lot of cases when you were getting bullied.
Yes, because what happened is I was the youngest in the class, because in Greece we start the school in August, September.
Yeah.
And in Rhodesia, because it's a southern part like Australia, because the southern part of the southern hemisphere, they start in January. So we arrived there at the end of December. So I was in Greece in school for 3 months. And I went to Rhodesia. They put me up 1 class on top. So I was the youngest in the class. So, and I had a bit of, to speak English. And while I have learned some English, I went to an English school in Greece. It was a little bit different. I had an accent, so they would laugh at me. But soccer actually worked very well for me, because I was there like a week or so when I told my dad the issues I had, how uncomfortable I was feeling, and says, "What about soccer? You've been playing soccer. I used to buy you soccer shoes all the time. I taught you how to play soccer from 6, 7 years old. Come on, go there, go to the field, and you will make friends there, because some of these guys, when they see you play, if you play well, you're going to be there." Exactly what he said, it came true. I was there for 2 days, and the coach saw me, because when you are a coach, you can see the thing straight away. The technique, the way you play, and everything else. So he called me, and he said, "I never seen you before." I said, "Yeah, I'm new here." He says, "Wow. You like to play soccer?" I said, "Of course, that's why I'm here." So he said, "Well, I like you to come and play. I like you to come and play on the team. And do you like to play?" I said, "Absolutely." Then he gave me the list of items that I need to buy, the uniforms and all that type of stuff, shoes and everything else. And I took the list to my parents and I say, hey, this is it. I say, son, you will get this tomorrow. Not a problem. We'll get it for you. You go and get on. Kick few butts just at the same time. Just go for it. So and I made a lot of friends on the soccer field. And lot of my people who were not happy with me, when they were not really nice to me, they became my good friends. Because on the field we were a team. We had to, we shouted at each other, of course, but in a very friendly manner. So we did the right connection from the beginning, and so my life became a little bit easier because of soccer. Yes, and then from there, everywhere I went, soccer helped me. Every city I went, everywhere, playing professional and all that stuff, soccer actually came to my rescue quite a few times.
Yes, I think sports is a great way of bringing people together. And as you know, in the World Cup 1995, I was there with the Australian Wallabies, and Nelson Mandela managed to bring the whole country together. Yeah. So it's a brilliant way. And as a professional networker, I know that sports bring people together. So because your book is a memoir and tells you so much about your challenging journey, would you like to tell us who or what inspired you to write your book?
Yeah, for the last 20 years, people have been telling me to write a book about my life. My path has been unique, really. Taking me westwards from Greece, where I was born, to Southern Africa, and finally to the United States. Everywhere I have landed, I made a beautiful life. Not because I was born into wealth, but avoided making mistakes, no. But because I had an unusual unusual outlook that colors my life. I don't believe in limits. To me, there was no limits. I'd never believed in limits. So I was a rebel when it came to listen to certain people say certain things. I throw that away. So writing a book also, it will capture the adventures all that I have lived through in 4 countries and 3 continents, 23 businesses, beautiful family, travel, challenges and achievements. So I also want to inspire and motivate people who want to improve their lives and have a great joy, find a great joy in life. I can do that by sharing my life story and lessons, and how to create success, satisfaction for yourself, to make your own life precisely the way we want to do. And most importantly, before my late wife also, and passed away, she requested from me that I write a book that I always said I want to write, and I promise her I will do. And it is dedicated to her, and it's for her.
Fabulous. Because yes, not only did you start businesses, you started at a very young age, and you've had to reinvent yourself in each country that you've gone to and start from scratch. And it's not just an ordinary business. You have created multi-million-dollar businesses from nothing. So would you like to tell us about the first business you owned?
Yeah, yes, it's actually funny. When we went to Rhodesia, I was actually 12 years old. And Rhodesia at that time was a British colony in Southern Africa, right? And at the age of 14, when I started thinking little bit things, I used to go and visit my father's bakery that he bought then, and he tried to make it bigger. In the bakery, I was 14 years old. The bakery, every time I went there, it was always very busy. And there was a lot of activity. There. There were vans loading, offloading, and trucks. They will bring in flour, bags and bags of flour, sugar, oil, in and out. It excited me. It excited me so much that I thought I want to be part of that action. And I went in to help. He never asked me to go there. I just liked it. It was so exciting for me. And then I decided, I like to own my own business as soon as possible. As soon as possible. So when I was 16, I noticed that a business came up for sale. It was a restaurant, and selling food and groceries named Mambo Cafe. I thought to myself, why I shouldn't buy this business? I didn't say, oh, can I buy this business? I thought the opposite. Why can't I buy this business? This is important. And I immediately start thinking, how can I buy this business? How can I get involved with it? I had a little bit of money saved because I was helping my dad. He used to give me something there. So I thought, well, I knew it was a good business because the owner had it for a long time. So when somebody has a business for a long time, he likes it. But he had also other businesses. So I thought, if I can put the money that I have, if I can put it as a deposit, a down payment, and I can get to pay the balance on installments, I should buy this business. Why I shouldn't buy it? I should buy it. So I told my father, there is this business for sale, and I want to buy it. He looked at me and said, are you sure you want to buy a business, Nico? Because in Greek, Nick means Nico. I say, yes, Dad. He looked at me again. Are you sure you want to buy a business? I say, yes, again. So he looked at me and said, well, if you want to buy it, go for it. Nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. Go for it. But because I was only 16 at that time, I couldn't get the license, sign the contract, open a bank account, sign the checks, nothing. I was underage. So I went to see my mother. I thought maybe I can tell my mother to put it in her name. So when I told her the story, she looked at me and said, what? What? I said, Mom, you're not going to do anything. He says, are you sure, Nico, you can do it? I said, Mom, I can do it. He says, how can you go to high school, help in the bakery that you're helping part-time, and run your own business? I said, no, Mom. This business is special. It has 6 employees and the manager. The present owner doesn't run the business. He has other businesses. He delivers the inventory in the daytime. He comes and picks up the cash, gives the inventory, leaves the inventory that they ordered the day before, gets the cash, and he goes. I can do the same. Why can't I do that? I can do the same. It fits perfect. I'm not going to run the business. I can do exactly what he's doing. But I know the business needs a bit of new blood. It's not very far from the bakery or from the house, from home. So I can improve this place. I can paint it, clean it up, make it more nicer. And I want to buy it. I say, I will get the checkbook. I'll bring it home. You can sign the whole check one time whenever you have a chance. So I don't have to come and bother you all the time to sign the checks to pay the suppliers and all the expenses. Sign the whole checkbook. Those days they had a double checkbook, like 200 checks. So you just sign it. You do nothing else. That's it, man. says, you mean to tell me that that's it I'm going to do? I said, yes, ma'am, yes. I'm not involved in anything. I said, no. No. It's going to be my baby. That's okay. She gave me the blessing. So I bought the business. And we cleaned it up, increased the sales. And it was a nice little business. So much so, it gave me quite good money that 3 years later, I bought another business with 14 people. And 4 years after that, I had enough money when my dad wanted to semi-retire, sort of retired. It's all in my book.
Yeah.
I said, I want to buy the business. So I bought 50% of the bakery business. So by the time I was 25, I had 3 businesses to run. So that's how I started, from 16 years old, and I never worked for anybody in my life, never.
Wow, that's incredible. And obviously your mother must have believed in you and took a big risk to, you know, be your guarantor for the business. And I know from your book you're a big lover of risk, but for the audience, can you tell them your thoughts of being a risk taker?
Well, first of all, when I was in Greece, I had that accident with my small car that I built. And
oh, that was hilarious when I read that about you building it completely by yourself out of metal and so forth.
Yes. And when I was recuperating from my injuries, I decided I have to grow up. That is not acceptable. What I did, it wasn't right. And I put my mother into a lot of problems because she didn't know anything what I did. Until, of course, I had to take me to hospital. Okay, so
yeah, tell the audience what happened, how you built the car, and what happened that day.
Well, first of all, I was crazy about speed all the time. I love speed. I race cars, I race boats, I race airplanes. I didn't do racing on airplanes, but I like speed. You know, my airplanes were always very fast airplanes. You will go, you know, they were the best in their categories. You know, always my cars and everything was always. I mean, a lot of guys will come and challenge me to race and all that type of nonsense when you are at that young age. So when my dad left Greece to go to Rhodesia first for the first 18 months, I decided I want to build a car. And because at that time I thought, well, I'll take the car to Rhodesia with us. I didn't realize, you know, putting it it's going to take a lot of space to send it with, you know, by freight and all that type of stuff. So I decided to build a car, a four-seater with the pedals. But every seat should have a pedal. So if you take 4 people, they all pedal. But it wasn't fast enough. So I will go up to the hills, build up speed, and then release the stuff. Okay? And I'll only use the brakes to stop, or when we come level. But in this particular place, we went to one hill that at the edge, it was a lot of little stones. So when I turned around, the car got out and we went into a ditch.
Wow.
But prior to that, I think it was like a day or 2 or 3 before that, the screw came from the steering wheel, the screw came out. And instead of me try to put another screw and tie the knot and discover why that knot got loose, because I didn't put a lock nut washer. It was just a normal screw with a normal washer. But now, you know, later I realized that it was quick, you know, because I wanted to use that car after school, quick, you know, jump into the car with the friends. They say to me, "Come, let's go," you know. So you fall into that and you go. So anyway, I put a nail, a very long rusty nail, into the steering wheel instead of looking for a screw. And I didn't took the pliers to bend it underneath, so the nail gets away from between my two legs. So we were coming down very fast, and it got off, hit a ditch, jump up, where a bone, another ditch down, bam. So it just came to a very ugly standstill. Stop, right, boom. So two guys flew on top of me, right on top. And the guy behind me, before he got out, he hit me so hard that I went against the shaft of the steering wheel, the bar, all the way down. And the nail went through my legs. It hit a bone and it went out from one leg and hit the other leg. And I didn't realize what was going on because I wanted to get out and something was stopping me. So my cousin next to me, he says, "Oh, Nico, you got big trouble there." So he put his fingers between the nail, pushed my feet down, my leg down, so I can be released from the nail. Because every time I moved my leg, it was opening and opening. It made a big hole like this.
Wow.
Big hole like this, just for you to know, this size. I mean, it's still here today. Those marks, they will never go because it's a separate skin. So anyway, my feet, everything, my shoes got full of blood, filled up with blood. And I got out, I cut my shirt, I closed it up, so the blood doesn't run, but the blood runs continuously. Anyway, the car wheels and everything else, they opened up. The car couldn't really drive, so we took the guys took a hammer because I couldn't really do anything. They took a big rock and they used it like a hammer to get the wheel straight. Wow. So we can now take it, push it to the house. And that nail was actually from a construction site and it was rusted. So the rust and the dirt that nail had, it was a big long nail, but very, very rusted. But I didn't care about that, and I didn't even know what that rust can do at that age. I mean, I was like 10, 11, somewhere around there. So I didn't say anything to my mother because I knew if I say anything, she will ban me using the car again. Because that's how it is.
Yeah.
So I told her it was just I fall on a rock and I cut myself. So I said, "Oh, don't worry, Mom, I'm okay." So I left it there for 2, 3, 4, 5 days. And one day I was at school. I couldn't walk to school very easily anymore. Every day was getting worse and worse. And my cousin that he was with me, he actually helped me from time to time. He would come to the house. My mom would know nothing. Nothing. And one day when I sat down, 3, 4, 5 days later, on the table, and I had the pen writing, the pen slipped and it fallen down. When I bent down to pick up the pen, I smelled rotten. Something was like, oh, so what the heck is this? Because I had the bandage on my wound, but I didn't really replace it over and over. I didn't know at that time that you have to replace it and clean it and use whatever you call it, all these things that
antiseptic,
antiseptic and antibiotics and all that stuff because it was rusted. I didn't touch any of that. When I realized what happened, I thought, there's something wrong here. Both legs, they were smelling. Then I had to tell my mother. When she looked at it, when I saw what, immediately took me to hospital. And the guys, the doctors, they said, "What? You're going to lose your legs here because it's already having gangrene growing." So they had to make a big hole, clean up everything, put me to sleep. And it was a very good lesson because after that I had to sit down and think carefully. And my mother ran me to ride the bike, I think the car for about 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, something like that. And my father didn't even knew because he was already in Rhodesia. So she cried a lot at the hospital, says, how can I take you to Rhodesia with no, no feet, no legs? Luckily enough, the operation was successful, so I'm very happy about that. So that's my
wow. That must have been so scary, Nick, thinking you might lose your legs,
yes.
Especially to be such an active soccer player and, as you call yourself, a rebel, doing a lot of activities. And you're also a creative genius to come up with the idea of making that car, at such a young age. And how did you cope in Rhodesia, meaning you became a military commander, and what was that like?
Well, let me just finish with the car. That car, actually, I was dreaming about it. I made the sketches, how I wanted it, how to work, and everything. It was something that no one saw before. It was actually incredible. And in fact, when we left, I was very sad to leave it behind. But I think that particular time that I set to rehabilitate myself, and I couldn't do anything with my legs and feet, I realized that I have to grow up very fast to become a very responsible person. And that, I think, changed my thinking. Now, when we went to Rhodesia, I had businesses, which it's already written in the book. I had 3 businesses at the time. And because in Rhodesia, later in the 70s, early 70s, there was, us entrepreneurs in Rhodesia, we had a problem in the sense that a harrowing guerrilla war started that was supported by China, North Korea on one side of the country, and Soviet Union and its allies of the Eastern Bloc on the other side. So China, North Korea, and the Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc all supplied weapons and trained the guerrilla fighters to destabilize Rhodesia. So at the time, because I spoke 3 African languages, indigenous languages at the time, and because I was a successful young businessman, owning at that time also 3 businesses right there, and with management experience, I fitted perfectly for the new military units that they were created by the government to protect the local population on the border areas where the fighting was taking place. So I was drafted and be trained to become a military commander with 3 stars and to be knowledge in combat operations and hot pursuit tactics and on the front lines of the Rhodesian borders. My duty as a commander was to be in charge of a newly built protected villages, housing up to 5,000 people. My headquarters there included a 35-feet observation tower right in the center of the village with machine guns and sandbags in all 4 directions. And that was because, and radios 24/7, fully radios with a control room in the base. The base actually was below the ground, and earthworks 10 feet wide. So for mortars and rockets and missiles that they used to send on us to be covered. So, and we had to defend and repulse them many attacks, especially at night. That's the guerrilla tactics. They don't challenge you in the day, they tell you in the night, and then they run. So I was required to carry my machine gun with 100 rounds of ammunition on my shoulders 18 hours a day. And I was in command of a patrol with my soldiers on the border areas. And in the night, I would sleep for 5 hours because I was the commander, and my machine gun was next to me, next to my bed. And and it was actually, then I was always ready for combat, anytime. And we had a lot of that. And yeah, it was, there is much more details in my book that I cannot really announce. It's a lot what happened. And I did this for 2 years. And at no end. And I lost many soldiers, and seeing them also get injured. And, I sat there and I wonder every day what I was doing there in the jungle. I was a businessman. If I wanted to be in the military, I would have joined the military. I love people. I spoke the language. I always like to speak to everyone, be happy with everyone, keep everybody happy. That makes me happy, makes me smile. So I'm lucky to be alive today, and thank my lucky stars upstairs in heaven.
Wow, and how old were you? Because that was, a big role for someone who wasn't trained in the military and wasn't his choice. And as you said, you were a businessman.
Yes, and I was about, I think I was about 28, 29, and I was one of the youngest commanders in that particular program. I think we were about 400 of us, between 300 and 500, I would say, somewhere around there, and quite a few of us got killed. It was actually quite dramatic part of my life. Period of my life.
Yeah.
And, those days we didn't knew the post-traumatic stress. I would see friends of them committing suicide. That they were commanders. I couldn't understand what was going on. Why they were doing this with good families and all that stuff. And I'm just lucky that I had a very strong character, and I was very strong in mind. Because of my training in business, everything came to me. I had to really decide, and I spoke the language. I think that helped me a lot because I introduced new things there. You'll see everything in my book, including putting soccer pitches, making youngsters to play soccer and keep them busy, and that build a very good relationship with the people there, including the chiefs. In fact, the chiefs, having difficulties having food, they will bring me food as a gesture of respect and love for me. And some of them, when my deployment came to an end, they would come to me and say, "Can you stay more?" But I say, "No, I cannot do it because I will be deployed again in 6 weeks' time. 6 weeks. I will go back and forth in different parts of the country." It was actually quite difficult period of my life. And so much so, if you want me to also tell you what I did after that and why I left the country, I can tell you also.
Absolutely. Tell us why you left Rhodesia.
Well, because of the war. At that time I had I sold the bakery that I got involved in, the other 2 businesses, so 3 businesses altogether, or 2.5 businesses. And I took all the funds that I had, and I wanted to do something crazy. And because I had the business until about 24, this 3 business until I was 24, from 16 to 24. So by the time I was actually 21, I had the 3 businesses. Okay, nobody could believe it. Or thought I worked there. I'm working there, but it didn't matter to me. Some of the people that they came as inspectors or as representatives, When they looked at me, they said, no, we want to talk to the owner. I said, I'm the owner. No, we talk to the owner. I said, I'm the owner. If you want to do anything, you talk to me. Otherwise, we can't do business. So anyway, I sold that, and I decided to open. I sold all those three, and I decided to do something different, more crazy than those three. And I decided to move away from the city where I was living in Gatuna to the city of Fort Victoria. It was a bigger city, but it was 200 miles away from where I was based for the last 11, 12, 13 years, something like 13 years. So I had nobody there. There was no friends, no relatives, no contacts, nothing. And I decided to go 200 miles away and open a drive-in cinema. Now, drive-in cinema, actually, that particular drive-in cinema, it was actually three businesses. Because we built a big restaurant while I was making the plans. I built a big restaurant and a bar. That was the first in the country. Others followed me. Others followed me. When they saw my package that I gave the people, they followed me because it was very popular. The bar and the restaurant. The restaurant was quite a big, actually, because we made it to produce 250 chickens, half chickens a night.
Wow.
And that was for the matter of like 40 minutes because you have the interval. And that's the time they come in to buy. So we had all the equipment inside, a lot of equipment to produce these things for that quick time. And there were that two businesses, the restaurant, the bar, and the projection that used to bring the movies. And in order to get more people to come in, I decided also to build a playground. So the families can come in, the youngsters play at the playground, then they come, have something to eat, the husband and wife or friends, whatever, they go to the bar and have something to drink there, and then they watch a movie. So it was like an afternoon outing, so to speak. But on top of that, the area was 15.5 acres, the land. So I had more space after I built the playground, the parking. We had the parking for 800 cars.
Oh my God, that's enormous.
800 cars. So there was an extra space. So I said, I also built 10 apartments for the staff, for senior staff, because we had about 25, 28 people. So I decided I'd rather build a soccer field also, because we had 800 parking bays, so people can come and watch soccer or play soccer, park the cars. They don't have to look for parking, worry about parking, just park and come and play, and then go to the movies. So it was actually that combination that the business became very, very successful. I also I planted 900 cypress trees around the property. Tall trees. 900. 900.
Unbelievable.
Yes. So the business was so successful that within the first year, I bought a dry cleaning and laundry business. And a year after that, that was a commercial laundry and dry cleaning business, quite a big one. And had a lot of depots that we supplied. And then a year after that, I invested quite a lot of money in a gold mining operation. Completely different, gold mining. So everything was going nicely until I was called up, trained, and I had to leave my businesses, let my wife sort of be in charge. I had managers, but I was in and out all the time, in and out. I couldn't really settle. I did this in the military for 2 years. And when it came to a situation where I said, what am I doing here in this jungle? Day in, day out. Paint ourselves black paint, and all that stuff. It was not an easy thing, very difficult time. I had actually, at that time, when these things start happening, no one wanted to buy a business anymore because of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I had two choices. One, stay and fight, continue fighting, in and out, maybe get killed or maybe get injured, because I had friends also, blown with landmines and, anti-personal mines. I can go on and on, let me not say. Or leave everything and leave to go to South Africa, which at that time, South Africa was the richest and the most industrialized nation on the African continent. Okay. So I decided to do just that. So I left everything behind, and I decided to start from the beginning, from scratch. After 14 years in Rhodesia, of hard work in Rhodesia, I left everything behind. And I left.
That's remarkable. And you've covered a lot of information there about the life in the military, and I know you go more in depth in your book about it because it's very political and all the atrocities you had to face, and juggling back and forth with your wife and the businesses, and for you to have all those fresh ideas while you were in the military and start all these new businesses as well, and then to make that decision, okay, I value my life, I'm out of here, and you discussed it with your lovely wife, and some people thought you were crazy leaving all your businesses, and you went to Durban and okay.
Business it doesn't matter. Business is nothing. You can do, no one can rebuild me if I explode it. It only takes one bullet here, there, or somewhere, or one RPG rocket, a rocket propelled grenade, or one missile, and I'm done. I will be the richest man in the cemetery. What I need that for? So,
exactly.
I thought to myself, we're still young, and we're full of ideas, very energetic, and we always like to the city of Durban in South Africa, because that's where my late wife went to university. And in South Africa, I must say, I created a beautiful family. We went to flying college to complete training and become a successful pilot. And I flew my own planes all over Southern Africa for business and pleasure. And in fact, I never took commercial flights. I flew with my aeroplanes because I would take my managers and go. And for me, it was just like a holiday all the time. So I play professional soccer in my city, Durban, and just like I play in Gatuma and Fort Victoria in Rhodesia. I created, bought, and built 11 successful companies. 11. Some of them are made 3 to 10 times bigger. And I like to mention 3, if you allow me, to give you.
Absolutely.
But all the others are in my book, explaining how it was done. So, we moved to Durban, South Africa. In South Africa, as I say, it was a very rich country. As you know, they produce gold, diamonds, platinum, titanium, you name it, steel, everything, even oil, out of coal. So, Durban is the biggest port in Africa. The biggest port on the African continent, with hundreds and hundreds of ships unloading and loading every month. So we did not have enough money when we went, because I left everything behind. But I had a little bit, because I have planned a little bit to have for a rainy day. So, which is everything in the book. But I decided to start a security company, because security, you don't have a lot of machinery and you don't need so much capital. And also I was fresh from the military experience, and I knew I can train and create best guards and security officers in behavior, skills, and appearance. The uniforms we made, they were navy blue trousers, long trousers, with black leather belts, light blue shirts, and black, long, high black leather military boots. So we targeted the ships, and we got a contract to do many ships on the hatches. You know, every ship has like 6 or 8 or 10 hatches where they offload machinery, food, equipment, and many other products from one country to another. So we also targeted big car dealerships, big buildings, and quite a few other bigger projects. So I started and I trained the guards. I trained them to make them the way I want them to be. And my friend actually did the sales. We broke even within the first 6 months. We broke even. And within 3 years, after 3 years, we had over 300 guards. 300.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes, that was the first business. And in less than a year also, after arriving in Durban, we bought a beautiful house with a minimum deposit. And I tried I made a very skillful negotiations with the seller. It is on one of the chapters in my book. I got a beautiful home for a very small deposit. And I lived in that house until we left South Africa. So it was really very, very important to me because I kept my family very happy. So business number 2 that I bought within a year and a half after that was a leather business that I bought approximately about a year after, just over a year later. This was specialized business making leather garments, leather and suede garments for about 400 boutiques around South Africa and had about 18 employees. I could visualize how this business could look in 5 to 10 years because I have a very good visualization when I see a business, what I can do with it. Every business, even buildings and things like that, I can see the visualization. So I could see how to do 5 to 10 years down the line under me. So I started moving it to a brand new factory, because in fashion you have to have beautiful things for people to enjoy, especially when you make very high, top quality garments for specialized boutiques, expensive boutiques. So I installed new machinery and equipment, used all my business experience, and I expanded it from 18 employees to 80, 80 to 80.
Wow.
And I increased the sales and profit 7 times.
That's unbelievable.
Yes, and it's all in the book. It's all in the book.
You have the Midas touch, Nick. You're a creative visionary, creative genius, and the Midas touch. So I'm aware of the time. So what tips could you give to someone that is starting out in business?
Oh, right. So you want me to tell you the tips about the business?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, when a person starts a business, before a person starts a business, they must do their homework. They must do your homework seriously. Seriously. If you seriously want to get involved in business, because there's a lot of benefits. Give you so much freedom to own your own business. You are not tied down. And that freedom gives you energy. That energy gives you determination, gives you anything to do. So the first thing you have to do, you have to look at the pros and the cons of the situation of opening a business. Now, make sure you have the passion, first of all, energy, determination, enthusiasm to make it work. Because you will have some ups and downs in a business like this. You have to have your head right. You have to have the passion and determination to move on, to make it happen. Okay? You can make your own path, because based on that, that's how you make your own path. Because that's your determination. Okay? In life, we encounter challenges and opportunities, and we can overcome those challenges if you love what you're doing. And you have to love that, and you have to love your life. You can't just love business. You have to love also your life, to be happy, to live, to be able to have that energy for the business. Now, you can make your own destiny based on these things that I just told you. You need that passion, you need that determination. And don't wait for anyone to do it for you. You have to do that. Anything is possible. There are no limits. There are no limits. Depends how much effort you put, how much time you put in, and what you do. You have to think about it. And if things go a little bit down, don't give up. Don't give up. Because as you know, I've got 15 pillars that intertwine with the 27 chapters in the book. And it tells you exactly how to do things, the way I did it, how it happened. So if people start a business and they're not prepared for that business, they haven't done the homework, sometimes you may find yourself in trouble.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Be prepared, do your homework, and go with the flow, because life has so many ups and downs.
Yes. Yes.
And I think, after the COVID pandemic, many people have had to reinvent themselves.
Yes.
So if people are just starting out with a new business because what they were doing before doesn't exist, what would you tell them? Would it be the same advice?
Yes. Every business, first of all, you have to know what you're doing when you start a business. Don't go in with closed eyes. That's what I say. You have to do your homework. You have to do your homework back and forth. Build up yourself that energy, build that passion, that determination you want. Because let's say this, if it was so easy to open a business, everybody would have a business.
Yeah.
You have to really have these qualities that I say, and that determination. And also you have to work hard for it. But you can also work very smart. You don't have to work yourself 20 hours a day, running around, making no money. You have problems in your family, with your children, husband or wife, whatever it is, because you spend all the time in the business, and then you don't have enough time for the family. You have to have also time for the family. Then you have to balance these things. You have to love going to work, but you have to also love coming back home. So that takes a certain commitment in the brain, in the mind, how to do these things. You have to plan these things properly to be able to do it. Step by step, carefully, ask, get information, decide, choose to go this way, do that way. But once you decide to do what you want to do, after you thought very, very carefully, go for it. Don't be wishy-washy. Go for it. You've done your homework at the time that you knew you've done the best in your ability to actually decide to do that. But once you decide, trust what you have decided at that time and go for it.
That's wonderful news. And if there was one thing you could do to change the world, what would it be?
I would like for them to play a lot of sports, because the sports bring love, happiness, and life. That is number one. War it's not for me. No. I love people. I have friends from the top level to the bottom level, all around the world, all around the globe. They can be walkers. As you know, I walk the California Coastal Trail and many other walks around our planet. I mean, the California Coastal Trail alone is 1,200 miles long, almost more than 2,000 kilometers. And only few people done that. They start, they go a little bit, they do 100, 200, 300 miles, they give up. To me, sports is very important for people to get together. I don't like wars. I like us to enjoy being happy. Love our family, love our children, love the people that work for you, love your customers, love everything. Even your enemies, for that matter. Think about that. You must always have an open mind, because the cosmic law brings you all those beautiful things back to you. I believe in that.
Oh, that's a wonderful message, Nick. Thank you. It's so important. And as we discussed earlier, sports do bring people together, and it's so important to love and be happy, do what you love, and forgiveness as well, and yeah, so on that note, because you are unstoppable, with all this beautiful creative energy, you've written your book. So what's next for you now, Nick?
Well, my book is already a bestseller, as you know. Okay?
Yes.
And now we're working to make it a double bestseller and international bestseller. Now, I also want to make a blockbuster movie with certain film stars that are very famous. So I know that my life has been unique and full of adventures, and I'm very thankful for it. Everyone who read my book loved it so much. Many told me that they cried at the end. They cried at the end. Many. Okay? And it's just a matter of time before some movie producers, top movie producers, come across my book, read it, and we will make a blockbuster movie, because the book I published, I'm the publisher. Okay? I haven't involved the publisher, because basically they want everything. And I spent all the money that needed to make the book, and I keep all the rights. I have all the rights. So, my desire is to make a blockbuster movie. So if anyone who is listening and if has contacts in the movie industry, please contact me. I like to hear. I'm open. I do interviews now at least once a week with people from different parts of the world, and it will come. And I am happy to say I'm in that position right now, that I feel the book has such a good reviews. It took me, as you know, it took me 4.5 years to write the book, and I wrote it 4 times to make it perfect. It was longer, more chapters, more pages, but we trimmed it down to make it really beautiful, ready for a movie. Screenwriter already went through the book, and it's ready for a movie. So my desire is to make that for the book. And there is a lot of things that we took out of the book. There's a lot of things also that I didn't like. So maybe once I get the movie going, I may write another book, the remaining stuff, but that's not on the program right now. My next priority is to make a blockbuster movie. Now, my book can be bought on Amazon on a Kindle, which in some parts of the world it costs very little, and it's available through Amazon around the world in the countries, including Australia. And if anybody wants to email me, for example, my email is no limits. My email is nolimits@nick@gmail.com. No limits by nick@gmail.com. Now, Nick is N-I-C-K, because some people is N-I-C, some N-I-K. Mine is N-I-C-K. And the book can be purchased on Amazon. And I want to leave you with this, and for the for your viewers and listeners. There are no limits in life. I've done it 3 times in my life. There are no limits. There are no limits. Depends how you see life, how you can do things in life. Never give up. Take no for answers. No for answers. You can do it. If I do it, anybody can do it.
Wow. Thank you, Nick. You're such a bundle of inspiration. And to all the listeners, take note, no limits. Just go for it, do your homework, include sports, and be happy, have fun, and look after your family, include your family, love your family and friends, and love everyone. And I shall put all your details with the show notes so people will have it. And go out and buy his book. I'm putting the details for that. And I can't wait to see your blockbuster movie, because I know it's going to happen. Your story, and I can understand why the people were crying. Like, you know, you've gone through so many trials and tribulations, which I'm not going to say, because people need to read the book and find out for themselves and discover it, because you are a truly remarkable soul. And to start so many businesses from scratch, to change countries, and now you're living in America, and you, even those walks that you did, nobody had done those walks before, and you've done it. You're unstoppable. So thank you.
It was nice to be here. I want to say to you, thank you so much. You're welcome. And the pleasure was mine. Thank you.